This is Forza 2 for the Xbox 360, and of course the first thing I did when I got this game, and mind you, I've been playing the Gran Turismo series since it first came out, and I'm a huge Gran Turismo fan. The first thing I did when I got Forza 2 was buy a Lamborghini Countach, which is like my favorite car ever, and sadly I don't own one because they're a little pricey. But as we said in the original Classic Game Room series, the main reason that you play a video game like this is to drive cars that you couldn't possibly afford in real life. And even if you did take out a loan and get a Lamborghini Countach, the first time that thing hit a speed bump and broke, and you sure as hell wouldn't be able to afford to put gas in the damn thing. Especially considering they get like 2 miles to the gallon. But that's one of the great things about Forza 2. Is you don't have to worry about the gas mileage in your exotic sports cars. This is actually the very first Xbox 360 game that I got, and I'm a big driving game fan, like I've said numerous times, and I'm just thrilled with Forza 2. In fact, there's so much that I could say about this game, and you can go into so much detail in this game, that it's going to be a multi-part review. So this is part one of about a 3-part series here on Forza 2. One of the greatest things about this game is not just that you can change the color of your cars, but that you can do almost anything to the design. You can put any kind of graphics you want all over this thing. And I'll give a quick demonstration here with a very simple Game Room logo that I designed for the side of my Lamborghini. This one looks pretty simple, but you have a choice of many different fonts. You can put some pre-designed patterns like dollar signs and dogs and cats and ladybugs on your cars. If you're manly, you want to put a ladybug on your car. Here I am putting an image of my dog on the side of the car. So you can do just about anything, and you have all kinds of shapes and gradations, and you literally can design whatever your mind can imagine if you can actually figure out how to design it. You'll see at some point my Black Label racing car. It took me hours one night to design the Black Label logo onto the side of the car, but I think it was worth the time. Now, similar to Gran Turismo, you can modify your car in just about every way you want. You can do weight reduction, put in more horsepower, upgrade the tires, upgrade the wheels, mufflers. One of the great things about Forza 2 is that you can also do an entire powertrain swap. You can put a 4-wheel drive system into a car that normally would be a 2-wheel drive car. Like this Lamborghini Countach, for instance. You can actually put an all-wheel drive system in there. I'm assuming that they've modeled that after the all-wheel drive system in one of their newer Lamborghinis. And there's a nice combination of things you can do. I have a 300ZX in the game that's modded to a 4-wheel drive model, which is really nice. So it's basically like a Skyline with a 300ZX body. You have a variety of races, starting from the amateur races all the way up to the serious professional stuff. Each time you modify your car, it gets into a different class rating, and that's a really nice part of the game. You have D class, C, B, A, Unlimited, the Super class, and then you get up into the racing classes. So I think one of the most challenging parts, one of the most interesting aspects of this game is modifying your car and keeping it within a certain class rating and trying to get it to be the best car that you can within that class. And my favorite class is the Class A. And this is my Class S modified Lamborghini. I can't pronounce what this thing is actually called, but it's my Atari 7800 Pro System Lamborghini that I designed it to look like an Atari 7800 Pro System. And if I were actually going to be racing cars in real life, I would hope that I'd be hired by the Atari 7800 Pro System racing team. In the game, you have a number of races that you can go through. As I said before, you have the professional series, semi-pro, manufacturers races. You go through them all, you win each set of races, and you win money, and that money enables you to go out and buy new cars. And there's several hundred cars to choose from. The entire time that I've played Forza 2, I've had to compare it in my mind to the Gran Turismo series. And the question is it better? And I think the honest answer is they're about equal. And I think that if you could somehow combine the Gran Turismo series with Forza, that would be the best game ever made. But each game is a little different. And there's certain subtle nuances. Obviously, Forza 2 is on the Xbox 360, which is a much more powerful game console than the PS2. Graphically, I think Forza 2 and Gran Turismo 4 are actually fairly similar. Forza 2 obviously looks better, but not dramatically as much so as a game like BioShock, for instance. I think BioShock really takes full advantage of the graphical capabilities of the 360. Driving-wise, I think they're both fairly similar. I think that, and that's a compliment, they're both excellent games as far as how the cars handle. When you make modifications to the car, you can feel the difference. I think the AI in Forza 2 is probably a bit better than it is in the Gran Turismo series, but one of the huge differences between Forza 2 and GT4 is that you have the Xbox Live capability in Forza 2, which is outstanding, and that gives you a whole community of people to race against, whether they're friends of yours or not. And I don't have any footage of that, but it's a really nice addition to the game to be able to go out and race human opponents. My biggest gripe with Forza 2 is the track selection. The Gran Turismo series just had such tremendous tracks, including the original Gran Turismo tracks, like Deep Forest and Trial Mountain and Grand Valley, and those are all missing here. And I think that's a pretty noticeable omission. This does have some nice tracks like Mugello and Suzuka in Laguna Seca, but I really like some of those original tracks that they have in the Gran Turismo series. The track we're looking at now is Maple Valley. This is one of my favorites, and one that reminds me of the original tracks in the Gran Turismo series, the most on Forza 2 at least. But they do give you a nice variety. You have some that are tighter courses like this one, and others that are much more wide and open, like the Silverstone racetrack, for instance. But right after playing Forza 2, I've been capturing footage for the Gran Turismo 4 review, which I'll be coming up with soon. But there's just no contest between the track variety. Gran Turismo 4 has a much better variety and selection of tracks. Gran Turismo 4 also had more cars, but you were not able to put the Atari 7800 Pro System logo on the side of it, for instance. And that was, that's kind of important. If you're a fan of the Gran Turismo series, I think you'll find a lot of similarities between the two games. You race in a race, and then you can also view the replay. You collect money, you win cars. There's some subtle differences, but for the most part, they're actually very similar games. And of course, in Forza 2, you can crash your car, which makes the driving actually a good bit more challenging in this game. And when you watch the Classic Game Room HD review of Gran Turismo 4, you'll notice My driving style is completely different because in Gran Turismo 4 I just plow through the other cars because you're not going to damage yourself. In this game, of course, if you touch anything, run off the road, smash into a wall, your car suffers damage. Not only does that make for some great crashes to multi-$100,000 vehicles, and you don't have to worry about any insurance claims, but it makes for a more challenging game as well.